Welcome to designEd Studio. I'm going to give you a tour around. My name is Sarah, and I am one of the original founders of Connecting Ed. So we're going to land right here on your home page. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. If you ever need to come back and just get a quick 2-minute video of an overview of everything you can do in our app, just come right down here to the Getting Started video. On the left-hand side here, obviously, you can always come back to home. We have My Courses. This is where you can organize the units and the assessments that you make into courses that you have. So you can see here, I have 2 units in my 7th grade ELA course, and there is a visual down here that helps you to see and helps you to plan out your entire year for each unit. The way you add units is right here. These are units that I have already created. I'm just going to add one in here, the power of language. I'm going to click add, and you can see it adds down here and also adds to my timeline as well. These can all be moved around. If I click here, here are my controls to move up and also to move it down. And that switches the timeline down here as well. We'll come back here in a little bit, but I just wanted to show you where it is initially, how you can organize your units that you haven't quite made yet, but we're going to make one right in just a second. All right, we got the unit builder here. We'll come back to that. We have a place if you need help, FAQs, how-to videos, anything you can imagine. There are how-tos in there, of course, along with this lovely tutorial as well. Contact support. We have email support right now as we are in beta. If you just give us a quick email, we should get back to you within 24 hours at the latest. And any feedback, we all need your feedback because that's how we're going to make this a much better product. So anything you could tell us really would help us out a lot. Okay, I'm going to go back to the home page and let's get started building a unit. We're going to click on the unit builder, and everything is double clicking, just so you know. So these are units that I have already created. We're going to start from the beginning, but I want to show you just a couple things right here that you can look through all the way through all of the different pages. This right here, anytime you see a question mark, will give you more information. In many cases, there are help videos embedded there as well. A little bit of learning for you and also some help videos. So to add a unit, we're going to click right here. And you just put in the topic of the unit. Don't worry, we're going to be able to make some really great student-friendly names for our units after we've put in some information. So right now I'm just going to put in energy transfer and climate. Yep, I'm a science teacher, so you're going to have to kind of bear with me a little bit. But right down here, you see it came up here, energy transfer and climate. Double click on that. And this brings up all the information that I need to put in just initially. All of this information helps to inform our prompts and what you get back from the generated things that AI does within our app. So just put a quick grade in here, 7. State, you can just type in at the top and it comes up. Number of days, take your best guess, and then you can add subjects. We have the whole list right here. And if you want to, it'll ask you if you want to add another subject, so you can make integrated units as well. So everything here is filled out. As you notice, the next tab jumps up, and now I can enter in my learning standards. Again, I'm just going to point out to you that we have the learning standards, more information right here. This one has a video in it that can show you how to do exactly what we're going to do right now as well. This is a list of all your learning targets. Right now, you don't have any learning targets. We just want to add a new learning standard. Cut and paste from whatever document your standards are in, or how your state puts them, or how your district puts them. You just cut and paste in here. I really suggest that you put additional standard information in if it's needed. It depends on your content area and your grade level. I'm going to put in here just some elaboration from the Ohio content standards around this particular standard right here. I click OK. Now, what happens is this pops up, and now it prompts me to create learning targets. If you already have learning targets, it's perfectly fine to click, and you can just cut and paste your own learning targets in here. This is just building the foundation for our unit right now. I want to generate learning targets. So I'm going to click on Generate Learning Targets. And this is where AI is working behind the scenes, taking the information that we've given it, and it's going to unpack that standard for us and give us learning targets. The list is right here. And I'm just going to quickly show you what you're able to do. And this goes throughout the whole entire web tool. You always have the ability to edit. So if you like this target, but you're not quite sure it's worded correctly, you just click on edit and you change it in any way you want, click save. Now, if this is one that I want and I want to keep it, I want to keep it to my saved targets list, I click add and you'll see it comes right back over here. If I decide, I don't think I want that over there, just click it back here and it pulls it back over to the bottom of the list of generated. So I'm just going to put a couple of these in here. It takes a little bit longer than what I'm doing right now because I just want to make sure that I have some in just to show you. But you would spend some time making sure that the targets that you have match the expectations that you want in your unit for this learning. Now, I like to change the way my targets are listed. I try to go from simplest down to more complex. So if you click on it, just go right here and it can move it right up the list so you can reorder what you have right here. Again, I'm going to point out to you the question marks here that help you to get some more information. So we're all done with this target or these learning targets, and I'm going to click OK. And what you're going to see is right here, it tells me I have 5 targets added, and this is my learning standard right here. So I'm going to go on and I'm going to add in the rest of the target standards for my unit. What you can see here is that I've added in 2 other learning standards and I've created targets to go along with those. I'm going to scroll down here and what you're going to be able to see now is related standards. Related standards provide the opportunity for us to mark specific skills that we want students to develop in these units. So you'll see that we have the math practices here, the science practices from Next Gen Science Standards, history's habits of mind, and skills for the future. You can also add your own specific related standards or skills in here. I'm going to go to the science practices and I'm going to add in asking questions and defining problems, put in a little bit of argument from evidence because that's always fun, right? So now we're going to move on. Now remember, we're just building the foundation for the unit here. Best practice tells us that we want big ideas and essential questions because big ideas and essential questions help students to make connections. It engages them to see how their learning is growing as they're moving through a unit. We are going to add new big ideas. We're going to come up here. You can always generate your own, or you can always add your own big ideas, but we are going to ask our AI friend to generate big ideas for us. Now, always remember that when we're generating things, it's because it's an AI assistant and it's helping us to get better ideas. Doesn't mean we take everything that's here. The key is you edit things and you make it work for your classroom. That's one big idea that I really liked. If I want to look at some more, I can click generate big ideas and it will generate more big ideas for me. And then I can look down through them and decide what I want. All right, so there's my big ideas. And then remember, don't forget, click for information. Oh, and I'm going to show you this too, because another little added bonus here is that not only do we tell you a little bit about what it is that you clicked on, essential questions here, but we also provide some professional learning and some strategies for you as well. So what you're going to see here is that we have an idea of how to use essential questions in the classroom. It's an essential questions journal, and it shows you how to set that up. And it also gives you a way to assess the journal in class. Okay, so on to adding our new essential questions. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to generate essential questions. Hey, if you notice too, your learning standards are right here. So when your essential questions come back, you can kind of refer back and forth down to it. So these two work really well for this unit. We have unit information, learning targets and standards, big ideas, essential questions. So that is the foundation of our unit. If you want to download your unit, you can click right here, this is what comes up. This is the format that we have for you to download or to print. And then let's just say you don't want the big ideas or the essential questions. You can just unclick them and you still have your learning standards and targets and related standards as well. And you just click right here to save. If you need more help with that, you can use this. Get back, just hit the back arrow, and we're back at our unit. And now it's time to build some assessments. So you click on assessment and this pops up. Don't forget, more information here. Click here to add a new assessment, double click, and we are prompted to add assessment information. You can choose from a DOK 2-3, generally a shorter assessment with more focused number of learning targets, or a DOK 4 assessment task, which is a little bit longer, more in depth, covers more learning targets as well. I'm going to put in here 4 days. It asks for your district and your county. So our AI assistant helps us to get resources that students can use that are local resources and online resources as well. All right, so you notice once we're done that, focus standards and targets for our assessment pops up here. And what you get here is a list of all of your unit learning targets. So the key here is we go through and we choose the learning targets that we want to get evidence of learning for in this assessment. To get the best results, we suggest you limit to 10 learning targets for the assessment. You can always make another assessment, a smaller one if you want, and use the higher level, higher Bloom's taxonomy targets because they assume the understanding and knowledge from the comprehension and an understanding level of Bloom's. So if I can analyze data to explain patterns and trends in energy transfer, that means I understand what energy transfer is. I understand what conduction and convection is. So I'm going to choose those types of learning targets for my assessment. So I want to point out to you also the indicators over here. Each one of these circles has a meaning. If it's yellow, that means that that learning target has not been used in an assessment within this unit. If it has just a check mark, that means that it has been used in one assessment, the one that we're in right now, and it's green. If you have the double page check, that means that it's also used in this assessment and another assessment as well. This really helps when you're building multiple assessments in the unit so you know what you've covered and what you haven't as well. Okay, now that I've chosen my standards and my targets, you see that create tasks pops up. Now, this is where the AI assistant, you just click right here, it will create the assessment tasks. The AI assistant gives us the general role that students will be taking and an overview of what this assessment tasks is all about. Then if you scroll down, you will see that it's created 4 different choices for students, all under this overview. So in each one of these choices, there is a product that they'll be creating. It tells them the role that they will be taking on in this project, the audience that they will be creating the product for, and the goal that they're working towards for their assessment task. So you'll see here we have 4 different types. Let's just say we don't like one of these tasks. We're going to delete the task. It'll ask us if we're sure. And then we can generate an additional assessment task. You can also add your own custom task if you would like to. And now we have a new one. Now what you can do is get into the meat of each one of these different projects. So we're going to click instructions and resources. You'll see that it's yellow because it has not been done yet. You click into that and you click generate instructions and resources, and our AI assistant will create instructions, a suggested list of materials, community resources that students can use to support them in their assessment, and also a list of online resources to help them. So you see here, if you just click in the box, it expands out. You can edit and customize everything that's in here, like everything that's in our web tools, so it works best for your students. If you have other community resources, you can cut and paste them in here, and these give you online resources as well. I'll show you how to print all of this in just a couple minutes. So you see this is green. That means that I've made my instructions and resources. We need to do that for each product that we have. So we have created all of our tasks. We've gotten our instructions and our resources all together. So this is the engaging, authentic, real world part that students are engaged in. Now we're going to go to assessment questions. That's going to help you to give students some guidance in giving you information about evidence of learning. There's 3 different types of questions here. We have assessment reflection questions. I'm going to generate them here. They pull together the big ideas, the essential questions of the unit and the learning targets, and ask students some deep questions about their learning. Again, you can edit any of them, decide whichever ones that you want. You can just move them right over here into your saved question list. I'll show you in a second right here where it says compiled list. All of the questions that you choose will be under here so you can print them nice and easily. We also have evidence of learning reflection questions. These questions can be used to frame a portfolio. They can be used for students to answer. They're really great questions that require students to do some cognitive thinking, which is what we're all about, right? And then there's metacognition questions. We want students to know how they learn best. We want them to reflect, because in the reflection is where they're going to learn about themselves as learners, what they can do better, how they get used feedback. There's so many different ways. This question generator generates excellent metacognition questions. Don't forget, you can also add your custom questions here too, if you'd like. Here's my whole entire compiled list, and I'll show you where you can print all of these off in just a second. One more thing we got to do is we got to create a rubric. So we have a task, we have questions, and now we need a rubric, because the rubric's going to help students with expectations and for us to give feedback and students to reflect themselves on how they did. We have 2 different areas that you can focus your rubric on: the actual product, the task, the skills that students need in order to complete that product. We also have the assessment learning targets. So we'll go with task, skills, and products. And you can do a single point rubric or a scaled rubric. If you need to know what the difference is between those, you can click right here. We'll do a scaled rubric so I can show you all of the different ways you can customize. Now, this does take a couple of minutes because we are asking it to do a very big task for us. Okay, so we have our scaled rubric here, and you can see the scale is beginning, developing, meets targets, and exceeds targets. You can edit that scale. So if you would rather have numbers here or would like to use other language, you can edit that to make it work for your students. You can add new criteria if you like. Generally, the AI assistant will return about 10 different criteria. So we suggest that you look through and see what is most effective for you. And if you don't like something, you can delete it and take it out of here. You can also edit it. So you can edit all of the descriptors and edit all of the criteria as well. If you would like to change the sequence, you can move a row down, you can move it up, and you can make it work best for you. Okay, now I'm going to make a single point rubric for my assessment learning targets, which will give me the list of learning targets with a description of what it looks like to meet those learning targets. Okay, and as you can see here, these are the criteria based on our learning targets, and this is the descriptor of what it looks like to meet that. You can use these to give students feedback. They can analyze their own work based off of all of them too, and you can do the same thing. You can edit, you can add new criteria, you can move the rows up and down, whatever you need to do there. All right, so we have all of our assessment pieces created. Now we need to create a name, a student-friendly name. So you click here to generate a name, and it takes into account everything that we have and gives us a cute name for the assessment. All about engaging students, right? We have now been through building an entire unit with an assessment and questions and a rubric. The last thing we want to do is to generate the name. And we do that at the end because the name will be generated based on everything that we have as part of the unit. And again, you can click this and get different types of names. They're all supposed to be student friendly. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can print what you need from your assessments. The first place we're going to go is under the rubric. For each rubric, you can click the download button at the top of the rubric, and the rubric shows up here, and then you just click to save or download. You get back to your assessment here, and right next to where it says assessment name, you click on the download button, and then you can decide what you want to print. So if you want to just print assessment questions, you can unclick all of these, and the assessment questions are right here, and you can easily print them off. You can click for tasks and your instructions, whatever you need to print. You can do the whole thing if you'd like. And the last thing I want to show you how to do is, let's go back to my courses. This is where we started. And you can always add your own course or a new course right there. You can see I have 2 courses added. So I want to add my new unit to my course so it's nice and organized. So you can see I have 1 unit in here already. And this drop down right here gives me a list of all of my units that I'm working on. And I want to add this one, Power Pioneers. I click right here and I can add a unit right there. You can also get to the unit builder if you'd like by starting here and clicking Add New Unit. Just 2 ways to go to start building units. Also want to point out that you can see as I added the Power Pioneers, it came down here to my timeline as well. So I could see where I am in my year as far as instructional time as well. So I'm going to go back to the home. Just want to make sure to remind you all the how-to videos and the FAQs are here, and contact support is right here. Any feedback you can give us is super exciting. We really hope that this helps to spark exciting ideas and that you can customize it for your classrooms and save a lot of time in building units and assessments that your students are going to love.